Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck. My name is Chuck Guglielmo, a weekly half-hour show where we talk with interesting people. And today, we have Marty Landon with us. Marty, you're an interesting person and have been for years, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm interesting, all right.
Well, Marty, we're going to talk a lot about your days in the radio. We're going to talk, of course, a little bit about the parade coming up, which is about a little less than a month away now. But first thing I want to ask you about, now you're working in the Ashtabula Harbor area. Tell us what you're doing there.
I am. I landed a job with the Ashtabula County Engineer's Office as a lift bridge operator. I operate the Ashtabula Lift Bridge down on Bridge Street.
So you're the person who's holding me up every once in a while?
I could be, maybe. I'm the low man on the totem pole right now. I've been there, 3 years now. And I'm still working only 3 days a week. So chances of me holding you up are pretty slim. Unless you go through on a Saturday during the day. I do operate during the day on Saturday.
So during the week, you're at night?
I'm at
on the night out.
Yeah.
Overnight, or?
Yeah, there's somebody on that bridge 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week operating that bridge. And I work one afternoon shift, and I work one midnight shift, and then I work a day shift.
So now I understand why every once in a while on Facebook, you'll say, if anybody wants to bring me a cup of coffee and a donut.
Exactly.
You get any takers?
I do actually.
How nice is that?
It is. Facebook's a great vehicle for getting a message out because, I put that message out once in a while, and I do get a cup of coffee occasionally.
Once in a while, I'm going to bring it too, because I keep thinking, maybe I should go over there and surprise Marty and bring him a nice hot cup of coffee. Right there with the Harbor Perk.
Yeah. That's the thing. You could just stop right there, grab it, and I'll have it hot and fresh.
Well, Marty,
and they have good scones there too.
Oh boy. Marty, everybody knows you in this area from your radio days at WOW. But you're a Lake County resident originally, aren't you?
Originally, I'm from Madison. I born and raised in Madison. I got a job at the radio station in 1993, and I moved to Conneaut at that time.
Okay, when you first went to WOW Radio here in Conneaut, tell us from the very first, when you started there, because you worked for different kinds of managements, different kind of formats. Talk all about that for us.
I can't remember. I mean, I'll figure it out as I go, how many owners
Sure.
I saw during my radio career. Doyle Fleury owned the radio station when I started back in '93. Sally Terry was our general manager. Barb Lieb was one of the sales reps, and Ray Kemp, he was one of the sales reps. And then there was a number of disc jockeys, and I was hired as a disc jockey, as a part-time disc jockey, to fill in when people need days off. And caught on real fast because I've been a musician all my life, and I was already disc jockeying, mobile DJ work, doing weddings and parties and so on. So I already had a good grasp on the career. So I moved up fast, moved into a full-time disc jockey position, and then back then it was a 500-watt radio station with country music was the format. I eventually
kind of like it was sunrise to sunset as far
sunrise,
as being
sunset,
on the air,
yes,
right?
It went on the air every
that.
morning at 5:30. It'd go on the air regardless of the sunrise. It went on at 5:30 in the morning, and it went off when the sun set. So during the winter months, it would go off as early as 4:30 in the afternoon. It'd go off the air. And then, of course, during the summer months, it would stay on until 9:30. Because of the longer daylight hours. That is part of an AM radio license. Is the radio AM radio waves travel farther at night. It's something with the atmosphere. They travel farther at night, so we'd have to lower our power at night, or else it would go from here all the. Well, I got calls from New Jersey. Somebody picked us up in New Jersey.
Wow.
Because we didn't power down at the proper time, and so the radio waves will go forever at night. And so we actually got calls from New Jersey. I got a call one night from an engineer. He worked at a 1360 AM radio station in New Jersey, and we were broadcasting over top of his station on 1360 AM.
Wow.
And so yeah, so we used to go off the air or power down at night, and of course at 500 watts there's nothing to power down to. We just go off the air. So that's the way the license.
Well, when you first were there, you said 1993?
93,
When you first
yeah.
went there, country western. Were you a fan of country western music?
Oh yes, I played. I've been a musician all my life. I played drums all my life since 5th grade in school, and the first band I ever played in outside of school was a country band. Mm-hmm. My stepfather, Ted Houghton, he was a guitar player, and he played country music, and we sat at all the holidays and everything, we sat around the kitchen table and he played guitar and we sang, and that was our holidays. So I was very familiar with country music. Always have been a fan of country music. I still am today. I like every kind of music, but always been a country music fan.
That would be your number one choice. Or is it today's music?
Well, I don't really, I really can't get I really can't say my first choice, because I really don't have a first choice. I like classic rock because of my teen years. I was born in the 50s, I raised in the 60s and 70s, and that's when classic rock was, of course it's classic rock today, but back then it was,
Now, back then also, you were actually there in the studio playing the music, like today, a lot of this is pre-recorded, these DJs that do that, right?
Yes, when I started at the radio station at WOW, it was, we still played 45s, records, albums, and cassettes, and CDs. We had a mix of all those. And we had 2 turntables, and we played a lot of records.
And you took requests from people if they wanted to hear certain tunes?
Absolutely, yeah. We always took requests, open phone lines all the time. I built quite a good following, actually. They'd pick a DJ that they liked, and then they would always listen to them and always call them.
Well, what was good back then too is that we would know, for us listening, who sang that song. If we didn't know it, they would announce the name of the song. And then I remember Ken Vaughn always giving the current temperature in downtown Connie. You turn on the radio now, you don't hear any temperatures, the time, or anything like that.
No, because they record it way ahead of time, so they can't really give you a current temperature,
Right.
because they might record it the day before, and it might be raining today, and they're recording it for tomorrow. But
So from 93, when you first started, then continue on now.
I worked on the air for about 2 years, and then a sales position opened up. One of the salespeople was going to go in for surgery, and they needed a salesperson. And of course, I have the gift of gab, I guess you would say. And my dad always told me I should be a car salesman. He said I could sell ice cubes to an Eskimo. So I didn't want to go into sales, but they talked me into it. They actually, everybody at the radio station said, "Oh, you'd be good at it, you'd be good at it." And so I said, okay, I'll try it, and I went into sales, and I was doing both, disc jockeying on the air and doing sales. I would do the daytime sales, and I'd do the nighttime disc jockey and worked both jobs. And my career took off in sales. I did really, really good in sales. And then, let's see, I stayed in sales, and actually, I was a single parent. I raised 3 kids by myself. I was single, and I had 2 kids at home at this time, and shuffling them around at school and their functions, they were always really active in school activities and stuff, football, basketball, cheerleading, band, all of them. And it got really tough for me to work all day in sales and then disc jockey on the radio at night and still get my kids around. So I made the decision that I had to drop one of my jobs. And I told him I was going to stop doing sales and just disc jockey. And
Which was your first love.
you're correct,
Right.
yeah, because I was a musician all my life, you know. Music has been a part of my life, period. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. But when I just made that decision, the general manager of the radio station, excuse me, Sally Terry, God bless her, she was a great woman. She was very smart.
Yeah, she was.
She knew the radio business. Well, she told me, she says, Marty, I'm not going to let you do that. She said, you do sales or you do nothing. And it was like, now I had to make a decision, you know. So I went ahead, I said, okay, I'll just do sales, because I had to have a job. I'll just do sales, I'll drop the DJ part, because I was also still doing my mobile disc jockey business, DJ Max, and doing weddings and parties and stuff. So I still had my hand in it, you know, and I was still at the radio station. And so I went ahead and just did sales. Turned out to be a good move, actually, because I made a lot of money. Well, not a lot of money, but I made a decent living, and it was a steady job, and it was pretty secure. So I think I made a good decision back then. And as I said, I stayed in the business, the music industry, you might say.
Now, was the legendary Ken Vaughn there when you first got there?
He was there. Actually, Ken Vaughn trained me at the radio station. I really enjoyed working. A bundle of knowledge.
Yes.
Ken Vaughn. He was so intelligent.
Didn't he win Ashtabula County Media Person?
Yes, I think they called it Top Dog.
Top Dog, that's what it was
Top
called.
Dog,
Yep, you're
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
He won that going away, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah, it was a landslide. I, of course, wasn't involved in the radio station at the time, or he might have had a little competition. But I like to say that, you know, but...
He would have had a great competition. You were
yes,
great, Marty.
yes,
You
he
were.
would have.
And you were great, too. And like you said, you've done many things there at the radio station.
I've actually...
Engineered, too. I know you did some of our sports broadcasts. You even came out and commentate with me in some of the games.
I actually I have done every job there was to do at the radio station, starting with on-air personality when I got hired. Then I went into sales and did both, and I just did sales. And then along the way, I was, of course, very knowledgeable of electronics, and you know, I did a lot of things my own, so I had that knowledge. And then I took a course for electronics course, and so I ended up with doing a lot of the engineering. I actually rebuilt the transmitter site. And when I say rebuilt the transmitter site from the ground up, we tore out all the old grounding system and cleared the property with bulldozers and reinstalled the entire grounding system, new transmitters, 2 new transmitters, and redid the tower, refurbished the tower. And I did all of that, of course, with some help, but I supervised that whole entire operation. So.
A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of work involved in radio. It's tough. It's not just getting behind that microphone. I mean, you would get headaches when you would go off the air. How are we going to get back on the air? Talk a little bit about how that can be a major headache. I don't want to bring back memories, but...
I know. I mean, there was just so many things involved. Temperature change, drastic temperature change at our transmitter site would put us off the air.
Isn't that something?
And, and I'd have to figure out why we went off, first of all, what went off, why it went off, and then correct it. All the time, maybe I might be at a basketball game doing a broadcast, just anywhere. And through the years, we had different owners come in, and they reconditioned everything and added a lot of new, up-to-date things, state-of-the-art, to where we had like remotes where we could call a phone number from anywhere in the world. We could call a phone number and control the actual transmitter out on Middle Road here. And we could do that from anywhere in the world. You could do it from a cell phone, you could do it whatever. And that we had that technology installed in there. So that made things a lot easier. And what it did really is, if we couldn't put it back on the air that way, we could actually analyze why it wasn't going back on the air. And then we'd know what steps to take to correct it and get it back on. But like I said, for instance, the temperature change, there was a time when we went off the air and we didn't know why. We couldn't figure out why, and everything went shut down. I ended up going out to the transmitter site, and we had a fan, big fans in there. Everything gets real hot in there. So in the summertime, those fans keep things cooled down. Well, something got into the breaker box, whether it be a mouse or a snake or something, got into the breaker box and shorted something and shut those fans off.
Amazing.
And of course, then it got too hot and it tripped all the breakers. Mm-hmm. And so I actually had to go out to the transmitter site to realize that. And when I found it, and as soon as I opened the door and the heat hit me, I knew what was wrong, and I knew the fans weren't on. And so I had to figure out why the fans weren't on. And we found a dead snake in the breaker box. So
you didn't broadcast on the radio. We found a dead snake. You mentioned you mentioned new ownerships that come in throughout the years, and of course, every time a new ownership comes in, they usually have a different format.
Yeah, there were a lot of changes through the years.
Oldies a couple times.
Yes, we like I said, we were country when I started there in '93. Doyle Fleury sold the radio station in the year 2000. He sold it to John Kansas. Mm-hmm. John was a very, very knowledgeable radio man from Erie, Pennsylvania. And John immediately changed the format to oldies. It was called the Owl.
The Owl, yes.
I think it was the Owl.
We had T-shirts made up for us with the Owl on it for our broadcasts.
And they chose the Owl because they needed something soft. The image, they wanted it soft, and so the Owl was like a furry or fuzzy, soft image. And they changed it to oldies, and it went syndicated at that time. There was no longer any live DJs. It was all satellite. Everything was brought in by satellite, and we still did live broadcast, sports broadcasts and stuff, but all the music and everything was brought in by satellite.
And when you say oldies, it was like 50s, 60s for the Owl?
Yes, 50s, 60s, yeah.
Okay. Then another oldies format came in called, was it Good Time Oldies or something like that?
I think we had True,
It was
yeah, I
something
think-
like that, but it went into the 70s a little bit too, that
Yes,
kind of
yeah.
music.
Well, each year, oldies moves up a year also. And then what is left behind is called music of your life. Okay, that's how the genre that they use for that. Oldies, when like for instance, when I got into radio in 1993, oldies were 50s and 60s. In 2000, then oldies became 60s and 70s. In 2010, let's say, then oldies are going to move up to the 70s and 80s. And they're going to eventually keep creeping up to where today's music will eventually be oldies.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's how it works.
And then at one time it was just a news station, right?
Yes,
All news, all day?
John Kansas, and there was a key to that. John Kansas had a radio station, and he bought it in 2000, turned it to oldies. And then in 2001, 911, the terror attacks on the towers in New York City was such a huge event that John Kansas saw that maybe a news talk format to talk about this, to keep people informed would be a more susceptible format. So he changed it from oldies to news. And it was all talk. A lot of different hosts, and I don't want to try to name them. I mean, like
I'm going to name one for you right now that drove my father absolutely nuts. His name was Louis Freeze.
Oh, yeah, Louis Free. Well, Louis did a live show. Louis still on the radio today. Yeah, he's in Youngstown.
I told him, he's not driving you nuts because you're listening to him every day.
And that's exactly what, that's the game. That's the name of the game on radio is, you want people to listen. And if you can upset them a little bit, not a lot. It's not good to get them real mad, but you get them
Sure, that's
get them
understandable.
upset a little bit, and then the people, their personalities, they just want to, that's not right, and so that attracts listeners.
Couple other attractions there, of course, when you had the Pat Williams morning show.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you would fill in for him on occasion too.
Actually, I did, well, Ken Vaughn started that. He had the Town Talk Live. Ken Vaughn, he used to do Town Talk Live and the Trading Post every morning. And I used to fill in for Ken Vaughn. And then, of course, I got into sales. And then that's when Pat Williams started getting involved a little bit with, he would fill in for Ken Vaughn once in a while when Ken was off. Ken would go on vacation or whatever, and Pat would come over and fill in. And eventually, Ken Vaughn left the radio station in 2000, and then 2000, maybe 2002, I think there was an opening, and they hired Pat Williams to come in and start doing that show.
You mentioned Trading Post, of course, my girl Tess. She was really great at that. Now, you talk about a gift to gab.
Trader Tess, yeah.
She would show you how to save money, wouldn't she?
Oh, yeah, she was the what do we call her, the queen of yard sales, or the,
Oh, my goodness, she was awesome.
yeah.
I really enjoyed listening to Trader Tess.
You talk about gift to gab, boy,
Yeah.
she's another one, she had it.
Yeah. One other thing on the radio, then you also had a format where you went all religion.
Yes, well, let's back up a little bit, back to John Kansas. John sold the radio station, and it was John Kansas, that was his history. He would go in and buy a radio station. He had done this over and over for a lot of years. He started in Youngstown and went to Erie and ended up in Conneaut. And it was kind of funny. John owned a conglomerate of radio stations in Erie, actually had 6 of them. The major market radio stations. We're talking WJET. He also owned the TV station. The radio station, Rocket 101, the major market out there in Erie. He owned all of those at one time. And one at a time he sold them off, and he sold the last one was Jet, and he retired. And then he came to Conneaut and bought ours. And I was sitting and talking with John, and I says, whatever possessed you to come to Conneaut and buy this little country radio station after what he had there? And he said, I got bored. He said, I sold the last one. He said, I retired and I got bored. So I came out here and bought this one. But that was his history. He would go in and buy a radio station, build it up, make it profitable, and then sell it for a profit. And that's what he did. In 2004, John sold the station to Larry Weiss. Larry was out of Illinois, and Larry, very knowledgeable in radio, and Larry...
He was very instrumental in our sports coverage, too.
Yes.
I mean, he enjoyed that a lot.
Yes, and he changed the format to back to oldies. It was talk radio when John Kansas sold it, and Larry immediately turned it back to oldies. Larry, also like me, is a music person, you know. So and Larry was instrumental. There's a new radio out. It's not new, but it's back in that time period around 2004 when it started coming out. The Bob radio. It's real unique. It's
I hear that on 94 over there in Erie.
Yeah,
Bob FM, I think it's called.
Yeah, Bob FM.
Where they play everything.
They play everything. There's no genre separation there. They play everything, and I guess it's real popular in the larger cities and larger markets. But Larry was instrumental in starting that Bob radio, and that's where Larry's at today. He's in Illinois, around Chicago, with Bob radio. And Larry, he had it, he bought it in 2004, and then had it for 6 years, I think it was, 5 years, and he sold it, ended up selling the station to John Mara. John Mara is the current owner of the station. John is out of Mayfield. John was a construction worker. John owned a construction company, but he's very devout Catholic. And John wanted to minister the Catholicism, and he wanted to do it over the radio, and he felt that's how he could reach the most people. He was looking for a radio station in the Cleveland area. They didn't have any Catholic radio in the Cleveland area, and so he looked for a radio station out in Cleveland, and it was the market in Cleveland is so expensive that he really couldn't afford to purchase what they had available for the price. Just didn't make sense.
And he was teamed up with Joe Martin, right?
No,
No?
Joe Martin was with John Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Joe came with John Kansas. He was one of the sales managers at the Erie conglomerate out there.
And then Joe Martin went down south, I believe.
Yes, Louisiana.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Marty, this has been fun talking radio, and I knew once we would talk radio, I wouldn't get
We
anything
could
else
go on
in.
and on and on.
But at least Cindy told me beforehand that Martha stole my thunder about talking a little bit about the festival coming up. So just briefly, how's that going?
Well, it's we're in full swing right now. As a matter of fact, I spent the whole day today out pounding the pavement and knocking on doors. we're trying to raise the money it's going to take to pay for everything. We have a lot of expenses at the festival that a lot of people aren't aware of. We have to pay for all of our electric, the porta johns that we have brought in. We have to pay for all those. We have to pay for our trash collection and insurances.
A lot of detail, huh?
Yes. And then we have the fireworks, and the fireworks, that's a $12,000 bill. And
How are the donations going for that?
slow. They're going very slow. We're getting a little bit nervous right now. We do every year.
I was just going to say that.
We do
and
every year,
it
but
eventually-
every year it's the same.
Sure.
You know, you get nervous and then it just, Conneaut.
You want to make sure you have it before the event actually takes place.
Conneaut has a very, very good history of coming through. The businesses, the people, the community. It has a very good history of coming through, and people really help out the community, and we appreciate it. But we just wish you would do it earlier. You know?
This year's festival is a 4-day event?
4-day
Thursday
event.
through
It
Sunday.
starts on June 30th and runs July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
And the parade is when?
You got it. Friday the 1st,
Friday the 1st.
July 1st, 6 o'clock is the parade.
That's going to organize on Depot Street, I
Yes,
understand?
we line them up on Depot Street, and they'll proceed from Depot Street north on Broad up to Erie Street, and then, of course, west on Erie Street to Lakeview Park.
And who's the Grand Marshal?
Grand Marshal this year is Dom the Bomb Triple Threat.
Oh.
The Evans triplets, and their antique card throwing. It's just they were contestants on America's Got Talent. Actually, made it into the finals of America's Got Talent, a national. Everybody knows America's Got Talent, you know, but they were finalists on that. So we thought it would be only fitting to bring them back, and they're out in they live in Las Vegas now, but they're coming back for the 4th of July parade. They're going to come here, they'll be our grand marshals, and then they're going to do a performance at the festival after the parade.
Well, America has talent, but Conneaut has talent.
Conneaut.
Marty Landon.
Conneaut
Without
has-
Marty Landon, this parade wouldn't, or this festival. wouldn't
no,
happen.
yeah,
You do a
boy,
lot of
it's
work,
just-
and I know you have people that help you.
Oh.
But, and I wish we had more time, but we don't. But good luck on that.
And talk
Hopefully-
about talent right here.
And hopefully we will have good weather,
Yes, I pray for weather.
at least the 30th through the 3rd.
And if you want to make a donation, first of all, that's part of the thing I did today, was I put canisters out today. There's canisters in a lot of the businesses, not all of them, but a lot of the businesses. If you see a canister that says 4th of July on it, stuff some money in it,
You'll get
please.
it. You'll get what you need.
We'll help.
Probably more than what you need.
Anything, and I always said, you know something, our fireworks are $12,000.
And they're good.
And there's 11,000 people in Conneaut. If everybody just gave us $1, it'd pay for the fireworks.
There you go. And the fireworks start at what, 9:45?
10 o'clock,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, yep,
And it's a Sunday night, and people don't have to work the next day.
exactly.
Or if they
You know-
did, you would have it on Saturday night. I think you changed that thing last year, right?
No, we will not have a rain date. No rain.
No,
date.
I mean,
Oh.
if the,
Yes, well, I was
if
gonna
Monday's
say
a
that.
work day, you would have the fireworks on a Saturday night. right?
Yes,
That was the
we-
best move that could have ever been
Yeah,
done.
I've taken a lot of criticism for changing that fireworks
Oh,
night.
no.
Because every festival before me, they had it on, the fireworks on Sunday.
Yeah.
No matter what the 4th of July fell on,
Right.
they had them on Sunday, the end of the festival. And I said, no. I want the fireworks, and I want a day off after the fireworks, so that everybody could stay late, watch the fireworks, enjoy the festival.
Good move.
And then they could they had a day off the next day.
Good
So-
move. See, you said no when you got your way, but when you said no to Sally Terry, you couldn't get your
Yeah, I
way.
know.
Have a good one, Marty.
Thank you very
Thanks a
much,
lot.
Chuck.
Yes, Marty Landon, my guest today on Around the Town with Chuck. We'll see you next week.